Hello, this is The Context live from Washington with me, Christian Fraser, and Sumi Somaskanda.
President Trump's made it very clear, everything we do, and this is true in government, but especially at the Department of State, everything we do must be justified by the answer to one of three questions. Does it make us stronger? Does it make us safer? And does it make us more prosperous? If it doesn't do one of those three things, we will not do it.
And I know there's going to be people being deported, but we've been dumped on by these countries. We know it and they know it. And this town is corrupt as it can be, and until we clean house and get things going.
The World Health Organization regrets the announcement that the United States of America intends to withdraw from the organization. WHO plays a crucial role in protecting the health and security of the world's people, including Americans.
Joining us on the panel tonight, Republican Abel Maldonado, former Lieutenant Governor of California, and the Democrat strategist Joel Rubin, who served in the State Department in the Obama administration.
Well, a very good evening. After the blitz of executive orders Donald Trump issued from the Oval Office last night, now the heavy lifting begins to get a lot of that policy through Congress. The president, seen here at a prayer service earlier today, is expected to meet in the next hour with the House Speaker Mike Johnson and the new Senate leader John Thune. And let's be clear, it is one thing signing bits of paper for the cameras, getting near unanimity from the wafer-thin majority Republicans have in the House, another challenge altogether.
Indeed, so they are hoping to hammer out the details here on how exactly they're expected to accomplish this ambitious legislative agenda. Shock and awe on Monday. But now the question is, how do you pay for all of that? And in what order? Donald Trump is in favor of one big, beautiful bill that would include all his spending plans for the border, for his tax cuts, for the debt ceiling, and much, much more.
Gary, thank you very much for that. Abel, follow the money. That's what they say, isn't it? And that's what's going on here, because House Speaker Mike Johnson knows he has that slender majority. He knows that if he puts everything together, lumps it all together in one bill, let's have reform of immigration in there, let's get tax cuts in there, we'll amend the debt ceiling. He's daring those on the right of his party to say no.
Tricky territory indeed. And we heard Speaker Mike Johnson, well, he was referenced to by Donald Trump yesterday, saying he's got a tough job indeed with that conference. All right. Much more of this discussion in a moment. But for now, around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.
Welcome back. One of the pressing priorities for this Trump administration is getting the cabinet nominees approved. The Senate committees did hold hearings today on Elise Stefanik's nomination to the UN. Well, she's going to be the ambassador to the UN, and also for Doug Collins, who is nominated as Veteran Affairs Secretary. The Finance Committee also has approved Scott Bessent for Treasury Secretary, but it is the key security positions which remain unfilled for the moment. So the Senate leader, John Thune, said he's hoping at some point today to confirm John Ratcliffe as the CIA director. No progress yet on that particularly thorny issue of the defence nominee Pete Hegseth.
His own decision.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be one to watch, isn't it? And of course, when Nigel Farage is tweeting, he does look this way for support from some within the Republican movement. We'll see how that debate evolves over the next 24, 48 hours. We're going to take a short break. Do stay with us. Plenty more to come on the programme. You're watching BBC News. Hello, I'm Christian Fraser here with Sumi Somaskanda, and this is The Context live from Washington, focusing on the first full day of Donald Trump's time in office. The president has promised to stamp down on illegal migration, declaring a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and seeking to revoke birthright citizenship. Immigrant rights advocates have called the order unconstitutional.
Welcome back. There is no question that the biggest story of day one really was the sweeping order of clemency that President Trump gave to nearly every person convicted of crimes, including serious violence in the January 6th insurrection. It includes full, complete, and unconditional pardons for 1,500 people charged, including those who were convicted of assaulting police officers and carrying firearms into the Capitol. It went far beyond what even the vice president had imagined only a few days earlier.
Yeah, in fact, the quote was, if you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned. J.D. Vance just a week ago. The numbers here are pretty astonishing. The full, complete and unconditional pardon extends to 1,500 people charged, 1,200 convicted, around 300 who are in jail now.
That's perhaps a longer conversation that we should have.
This is the context.
Thank you for welcoming me to the context. I feel like I'm in between crossfire here. This is great.
Let's take a short break. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.
You did say that every time. That doesn't mean it's true.
Welcome back. Dealing with the millions of undocumented migrants that cross the southern border is, of course, Donald Trump's #1 priority. And last night, the Senate lent crucial support to that plan, passing with Democrat votes the Lake and Riley Act. That is a bill that will force law enforcement to hold undocumented migrants who are accused of crimes. Hands President Trump an early win on his signature issue. Not where the Democratic leadership might necessarily want to be, though. There are Democrats, especially in the key swing states, who believe that is why they lost in 2024.
Yeah, the question is how Democrats respond more broadly to that agenda. 18 states today filed a lawsuit against his executive order to end birthright citizenship, claiming it violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. There will be other legal challenges. Yesterday, local law enforcement in Chicago said they would not be joining federal immigration officials on a targeted roundup of illegal migrants. We have our correspondents on the story today. Carl Nassman is in Chicago for us. Will Grant is on the border in San Diego. Great to see you both. And Carl, I want to start with you because you have been following there in Chicago, which also looks freezing cold there, Carl. You've been following how the city is preparing for the mass deportation operation that the Trump administration, that Donald Trump himself had announced. What have you been finding?
As well, these are very aggressive policies. Perhaps they're negotiating gambits. We'll see. But the tariffs, he said, Joel, February 1st.
They are
and we'll see.
The cartels are terrorists.
Does that mean that the United States should be bombing Mexico?
We could do this for another hour, but we're running out of time. We're right up against the break. Abel, lovely to see you in person. Joel, thank you very much again.
Always.
Nice to be alongside you, Sumi.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to be here with another panel for the next hour, so I hope you'll stay with me for that. Plenty more news to come, including another Donald Trump press conference. Do stay with us. Hello, this is The Context on BBC News with me, Christian Fraser.
President Trump's made it very clear everything we do, and this is true in government, but especially at the Department of State, everything we do must be justified by the answer to one of three questions. Does it make us stronger? Does it make us safer? And does it make us more prosperous? If it doesn't do one of those three things, we will not do it.
And I know there's going to be people being deported, but we've been dumped on by these countries. We know it, and they know it. And this town is corrupt as it can be. And until we clean house and get things going.
The World Health Organization regrets the announcement that the United States of America intends to withdraw from the organization. WHO plays a crucial role in protecting the health and security of the world's people, including Americans.
With me this hour, the Democratic strategist Marianne Marsh and Annika Green, founding partner of Reach Global Strategies, former staffer for President George W. Bush. If you are just joining us, welcome to this special edition of The Context, live from Washington. 24 hours on, we're still trying to digest the flurry of executive orders issued by Donald Trump on Monday, but on we go. We're waiting this hour for the president to deliver what his team is billing a major announcement on infrastructure. OK, well, we'll continue to watch these pictures. If we see Donald Trump appear at the microphones, of course, I'll take you to that. We'll take a short break in the meantime. Around the world and across the UK, you're watching BBC News. Let's return to those nominations, because if you were watching the inauguration yesterday, you'll have seen in the rows behind Donald Trump many of the faces that he has chosen to be part of his new cabinet. But only one of them so far, as we've just discussed, has been confirmed, and that is Marco Rubio, who arrived at the State Department today, was sworn in by the Vice President there, and now gets on with his job as America's top diplomat. He got 99% of the backing in the Senate, but he is one of the less controversial picks.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he's not Speaker sometime soon. I'm
not sure you're just as sympathetic as me, Marianne. I'm not convinced. Let me show you some live pictures from the White House. These are the pictures that are coming into as we are expecting in the next half an hour Donald Trump to appear in the Roosevelt Room in the West Wing. We're going to be talking infrastructure and his plans for American companies. Should be something to hear, so do stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Christian Fraser. This is The Context on BBC News. The President has promised to stamp down on illegal migration, declaring a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and seeking to revoke birthright citizenship. Immigrant rights advocates have called the order unconstitutional. Yeah, we have touched on immigration already, but as we wait for Donald Trump, it's possibly worth just delving a little deeper into what has happened today, because the attorneys general from 18 states have already filed a legal challenge to President Trump's executive order that would refuse US citizenship for those children born here to unauthorized immigrants. It's the opening salvo in what promises to be a long legal battle over many of the Trump administration's immigration policies. OK, we'll leave that there. We'll take a short break. Around the world and across the UK, you're watching BBC News. I've been promising you a press conference with Donald Trump this evening. It's a good job I filled the programme with other things, because it's quite sorely delayed. But I am seeing actually a picture now from the Roosevelt Room of the podium. No one behind it, though, at the moment. So as and when Donald Trump appears there, of course, I'll take you to it live. Into space with the satellites on it. He seemed to put a lid on that. If there was any suggestion it might happen. Interesting. Listen, let me show you some live pictures just before we go of the Roosevelt Room. World News America is coming up for our world viewers, and of course we'll focus on what Donald Trump has to say there. For our UK viewers, we will certainly bring you details of that press conference if and when it takes place, but it is very late. Annika, Marianne, thank you very much for your company this evening. It's been a great pleasure having you alongside. We will do it same time tomorrow. Our special programmes all the way through the week, starting tomorrow at 8 o'clock UK time, 3 o'clock Eastern. Do join us for that. Have a very good night.
Hello there, this is your updates from the BBC Sports Centre. Champions League leaders Liverpool are heading for a 7th consecutive victory, leading 10-man Lille 2-1 with just a few moments to go at Anfield. And there we go. Just a quick update on the Champions League. It's still currently Benfica 4, Barcelona 4 in the closing stages of that one. You can get all the rest of the results over on the BBC Sport website. But that is all the sport from us for now.
Good evening. Fog may well be an issue again through the night and for tomorrow morning's rush.